So a few days from now, I'm gonna finish watching Tenet, and hopefully by the time I start watching the movie, I'll have a better idea of what I just finished watching. Was that sentence confusing for you? Well, strap the fuck in, cause it doesn't get any better. I'm Fiq the Signifier, and this is a One Hitter Quitter.
You gotta learn the One Hitter Quitter.
Before we get started, if you're not new to the channel, I want to say I appreciate everybody who supported the last video. I put so much work into that to the point where I didn't have any type of call out to my name or the channel or anything. It just had to be done the way it was done. So for those who are checking that out, thank you so much. For those who are new, please like, share, and subscribe. I got good shit here. I'm trying to grow the channel. It doesn't take nothing but to click the button. All right, let me not waste time. Let's get into this confusing ass movie. Tenet is the first movie by one Christopher Nolan, the auteur director behind future classics such as Memento, Inception, 2/3 of the Batman series, and probably my personal favorite of his, The Prestige. Nolan is a very unique figure in film history right now because he's this guy that makes nothing but big budget tentpole action and sci-fi movies which work really in the same way as big dumb movies like Fast and Furious or the Mission Impossible stuff, except his movies are densely packed with highly complex thematic undertones and even more impenetrable and hard to follow plot devices. He's basically the inversion of Michael Bay, which, yeah. You see what I did there?
Michael Bay explosion!
Although I sound like I've been complaining here, for the most part, I have enjoyed his movies. And when I saw the preview for this one starring Denzel Washington's son and fellow AUC alumni John David Washington, I was pretty excited. John David is following a pretty cool and unique route to being Hollywood's first ever A-list black leading man, trailblazing a path for future stars such as Will Smith, Jamie Foxx, and of course his own father. Unfortunately for John David, his performance had to be contained in a Christopher Nolan movie, and to be honest, possibly the worst overall film that Nolan has put out to date, let alone the drama that preceded after this movie's release landing it on home streaming instead of... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. This did come out in theaters, didn't it? Yeah, so this is a whole mess, so follow me for a second. See, Tenet wasn't supposed to come out until several months from now in July of 2020. And as you may not yet know, 2020 is when all the world's bad karma collected at once to make us suffer for most of the year by taking away many of our legends, paying us back for the damage we've been doing to our planet, and infecting us with a global pandemic. Although some nice things did happen toward the end. So the original July release date was pushed even further into the future to August of 2020. And even though this seemed like a dubious idea, the rumor is that Christopher Nolan demanded this from the studio. He wanted the studio to release the film in theaters, stating that it was meant to be seen as a big screen experience and that it would lose its original artistic vision by streaming to smaller, inferior screens like the 12-year-old 1080p flat screen with basic stock speakers. So my bad, Chris. And the studio went along with it. The commercials for this movie were kind of cringy, with the announcer saying shit like, "Movies are back, go watch Tenet in theaters." And you know, that didn't really work. Like, Chris, I know you're not from around here, but you do realize it was a fucking plague going on in the streets, and yeah, the movie bombed, at least by big deal Hollywood tentpole movie standards. To put it in perspective, Tenet grossed $380 million worldwide, but only $57 million in America, and this is compared to the $840 million that Inception, a movie it closely resembles, made about 10 years ago. So after bombing in August, here we are 4 months into the past with it releasing to home streaming. And I must say, although my highly inferior 40-inch TV probably didn't do the movie any favors with its visuals and action set pieces, I imagine I would have been even more disappointed had I seen this confusing slog of a movie in theaters. Now, I feel like I need to talk about myself for a moment just to kind of give some qualifiers. I'm no physicist, nor have I went to film school or had any formal training in the fine arts, but I'm pretty damn smart. Like, I may not guess the twist to every movie, though I'm pretty good at that, but seldom do I come away from a movie not being able to understand what happened. For example, Nolan's previous works with mind-bending plots such as Memento, Inception, and The Prestige, I had no problem following those movies, and although there were some things I didn't notice or maybe fully get thematically until second watch-throughs, I didn't leave any of these movies heading to Google so I could watch someone break down what the fuck was going on. But for Tenet, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sure someone will call me dumb for this, but for significant chunks in the movie, I couldn't decipher character relationships, character motivations, or major events in the plot. It's really, really confusing, and everything moves at this ridiculously fast pace. I've heard critics joke about how fast people talked in the Social Network movie from Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher, and well, yeah. If the dialogue in Social Network is Usain Bolt, then the dialogue in Tenet is goddamn Reverse Flash.
Yeah, it's on. I'm not going to do the farm animals, but I like the idea of comparing two people together. It gives the whole thing a very
Don't screw
feel,
around
since
with me
people's
now.
ratings of the
Look at
pictures
me.
will be more implicit.
The letter
than
says we
choosing
could
a
face
number to
legal
represent
action.
each
No,
person.
it's
So
not.
I could feel another not.
This is from a lawyer, Mark. We must really have some
Is their father's house counsel.
You don't know all of this.
I
need to get to Sanjay.
We get them on the hypeness, this funky tempo. I know that I be stopping a dope hypeness, stuff in the middle, a venom, a lyrical rhythm. I throw with a tongue, be leaving them hung among. Let's not be going.
And this wouldn't be such a problem if the movie wasn't delivering highly complex, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey exposition. The film takes no breaks, absolutely no breaks in its 2.5 hours to let its plot settle in before it gets to the next cool action sequence or big sweeping shot of some interesting or not so interesting landscape, or quickly flash us some part of the plot that won't make sense now in the past, but might make sense later in the story, in the past, or the future where they both meet. Yeah, I can't keep up with my own fucking parody of this gimmick. This shit is...
Do you want to read this? It's hard! So shut up! It's hard! Okay? I'm trying!
What I'm trying to get at is that the movie has no downtime, and by proxy, no time for us to care about the characters on screen, which in turn makes all of the moments that are supposed to be these intense action set pieces a bit hollow and without stakes. Back to John David. He's good enough, I guess. He works really well when he's doing this slicker version than his father's crisp delivery, which adds a sense of gravitas to his character. The real problem is, like most of Christopher Nolan's leading men, he basically has no other personality traits other than being really serious and really dedicated to his job. And though JD has natural charisma, it's hard to get overly invested in his escapades because you literally don't know shit about him throughout the entire movie. The same can be pretty much said for Robert Pattinson's Neil. Pattinson is still unfortunately mostly known for his role in Twilight, but he has quietly been in a ton of critically acclaimed roles ever since. This is probably the biggest mainstream look he's had since Twilight. He's pretty likable himself, has a lot more humanity unlike JD's character, and we do learn a few things about him. There's a couple of other random people whose faces I recognize but names I don't remember. One which plays Kat, the leading lady of the movie, who gets a bit more characterization than John David as well, but her place in the movie is probably the most confusing thing about it. The plot is hard enough to keep up with as it is, but one thing I really don't get is why John David's character is so hell-bent on keeping this woman alive. He has literally no knowledge of her until 30 minutes into the movie. She's not from his past. They don't have a romantic entanglement. They don't even tease any type of romantic connection, but he literally risked the world to save her on multiple occasions, which I guess they try to set up with some type of characterization for him early in the movie, but it doesn't really hold. It seems forced, and at a certain point it just feels confusing. For example, with Inception, we have so many subtle and important moments that establish the motivation of Leonardo DiCaprio's character. He's attached to his dead girlfriend, whose death he feels responsible for, and thus he can't see his children until he gets this job done, so he needs to be driven for his work. He's not just driven just because. We also get nice meet cutes between him and all the other major players in the movie to validate their connections and build bonds, not just between them, but between them and us in the audience. Here, John David just kind of walks up on people and they're like,
"You son of a bitch, I'm in."
And then they're off. And when you combine poorly defined character motivations with a plot that requires an abacus and a spirit guide, you're gonna have problems. Because I went to Google to try to figure this movie out after the fact, I've seen some people say that, oh, the emotional connections come across better in the second run, but all the stuff they pointed out is stuff I noticed in the first run and I just didn't really think it worked. I review movies based on the idea that you are spending your money to watch this movie this one time. And I spent $20 on this and I wish I could have my $20 back. But that's just me. I'm a character and story guy above all. I'm a sucker for a good sci-fi time traveling plot. And there was definitely some cool stuff stuck to the sides of this movie, but I would rather have my $20 back. That's it, y'all. 10 out of 5. Haha. That's all I got, y'all. Peace.